Have you heard this one? It's a story that's been spreading like wildfire online, and it's a chilling one. The idea that America's top scientists are being systematically targeted. And this isn't just some fringe theory anymore. It's gone all the way to the White House and kicked off a massive federal investigation into a whole series of really mysterious deaths and disappearances. So, let's get into it.
Right, so this is way more than just internet chatter. We're talking about the White House, Congress, even the FBI. They are all paying very close attention. And the big question everyone's asking is, are these just a string of horrible, isolated tragedies? Or are we looking at something much more coordinated and way more sinister?
I mean, when the President of the United States casually drops that he just left a meeting about this very subject, you know things have escalated. That single comment, especially that one word, hopefully, it just rocketed this whole story from online speculation straight into a matter of national interest. And it didn't stop at the White House. Next thing you know, Congress is getting involved. The House Oversight Committee, led by Chairman James Comer, fires up its own probe. And look at the language they're using. They're officially framing this as a potential threat to national security. And then, to cap it all off, the FBI puts out a statement confirming they're on the case. They are officially, actively looking for connections between all these different incidents. So that really brings us to the heart of the mystery, right? What in the world is happening to America's scientists? So who are these quote-unquote missing scientists anyway? Let's actually take a look at the list of names, the list that has everyone so worried, and frankly is the reason this entire investigation even got started.
Okay, so this is it. This is the core evidence that has been fueling all those conspiracy theories. And you can see why. We've got people from JPL, from Los Alamos, MIT, a retired Air Force general. I mean, these are folks connected to some of our most sensitive, most secret research projects. And yeah, the dates are a bit spread out, but when you see all those names listed together like this, it's not hard to understand why people are starting to get really worried.
But here's the thing about a pattern, it's only as strong as the individual dots you're connecting. So let's move past the list for a second and really dig into what we actually know about some of these tragic cases. So let's start with Professor Nuno Lulero from MIT, a truly brilliant plasma physicist. He was working on nuclear fusion. We're talking about a field with massive energy implications, not to mention defense applications. He was killed at his home, and online theories immediately went wild, suggesting he was silenced because of his work. But what do the actual facts say? Well, the tragic reality, it turns out, is a long way from a government conspiracy. Investigators confirmed pretty definitively that Lulero was murdered by a former classmate. It was a terrible, horrible case of personal jealousy, not some state-sponsored hit. Okay, now for the case that really lit the fuse on this whole thing. William Neal McCausland. We're talking a retired Air Force general who used to run the Air Force Research Lab and, get this, had ties to UFO research. He vanished from his home, which, as you can imagine, fueled all sorts of speculation that he was taken because of what he knew. But his wife, she offers a much more grounded perspective on the whole thing. She points out that any classified information he had was, at this point, well over a decade old. She even made a dry joke that, given the complete lack of evidence, an alien abduction was probably more likely than some government conspiracy. Then there's that cluster of cases down in New Mexico, which is home to all sorts of secretive places, like Los Alamos National Laboratory. That part seems particularly suspicious to a lot of people. So let's look at one of them, Melissa Casillas, a Los Alamos employee who disappeared. And here again, the reality seems to be a lot more personal and a lot less conspiratorial. Her family said she was an administrative assistant, so, not someone with high-level security clearance, and that she was under a huge amount of stress. The police actually believe she may have just left on her own. It's a heartbreaking situation, for sure, but probably not evidence of a larger plot. So, if the individual cases seem to have these logical, non-conspiratorial explanations, why does the idea of a plot, of a pattern, still feel so compelling? To figure that out, we actually need to zoom out and look at the numbers. Okay, first, you have to get your head around the sheer number of people we're talking about here. There are over 700,000 Americans with top secret clearance in just the aerospace and nuclear fields alone. I mean, think about that for a second. That's a huge population. It's bigger than the entire city of Seattle. Now, in any group that large, over that same 4-year period, what would you statistically expect to happen? Well, based on national mortality rates, you'd actually anticipate that around 250 of those people would tragically die from things like homicide or suicide.
So here's the tough but crucial takeaway. While every single one of these 11 cases is an absolute undeniable tragedy for the families involved, finding this number of deaths and disappearances within a population of over 700,000 people is, statistically speaking, completely normal. It's a sad coincidence, but it's not a statistical anomaly.
So this brings us to the most fascinating part of the whole story. If the evidence and the statistics just don't support a conspiracy, why is this story so powerful? Why does it feel so true to so many people? Well, the answer, it turns out, has nothing to do with government secrets and everything to do with our own psychology. There's a fantastic term for this. It's called apophenia. And it's basically the very natural, very human tendency we all have to see patterns and find meaningful connections in what is actually just random, unrelated stuff. Our brains are literally wired to do it.
Think about it. Our brains are fundamentally pattern-seeking machines. It's an ancient survival instinct. But in the age of social media, it's so easy to get caught in an echo chamber that just keeps reinforcing our suspicions. Once that idea of the missing scientist gets planted in our head, we start seeing evidence for it everywhere, reinterpreting every new tragedy so it fits the narrative we already believe.
And this really brings us to the ultimate question, one that goes way beyond this one story. In a world where we are just drowning in information 24/7, how do we tell the difference? How do we separate a real, meaningful pattern from what is simply tragic random noise? That's the critical challenge that, honestly, all of us are facing every single day.